Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're heading to the Holy Land, but we're not talking about one of the big, famous Crusades. Nope, we're looking at that super tense, nail-biting time in between. So yeah, let's dive into this really critical but often totally overlooked period for the Crusader States. I mean, forget the huge armies from Europe for a second. This was all about pure, desperate survival. It was a time of crisis that saw new powers rise up and completely change the game in the Levant. Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in 1118 with the death of the very first king of Jerusalem, Baldwin I, which left the kingdom in a really dangerous spot. So try to picture this. You're in Jerusalem. Your king, he's just died, and he didn't leave an heir. His brother, the guy who should take over, he's months away, all the way back in France. Oh, and to top it all off, your two biggest, most powerful neighbors, the Fatimids in Egypt and the Emir of Damascus, have just teamed up with one goal: to wipe you off the map. Talk about pressure, right? The council in Jerusalem needed a leader like yesterday.
So who do you pick in a crisis like that? Well, the nobles went with Baldwin Labor. And honestly, it's a no-brainer why. Experience. This guy was one of the last original leaders from the First Crusade still standing. He wasn't just some brute with a sword. He was a sharp diplomat who knew the ins and outs of Eastern politics. For them, he was pretty much the only person who could possibly navigate the storm that was coming.
And believe me, Baldwin's leadership gets put to the test immediately. We're heading north, where a single devastating battle is about to bring one of the Crusader states to its knees. But what follows is one of the most incredible comebacks you can imagine. So way up north in Antioch, the guy in charge, Roger of Salerno, is getting really ticked off. His lands are being raided nonstop by this Artukid warlord Ilghazi. The local patriarch is telling him, hey, just chill, wait for King Baldwin's army. But Roger, he's not the patient type. He makes this huge, fateful call to go it alone. He gathers every last soldier he has for one big, decisive fight. And the result? It was an absolute catastrophe. They call the battle Ager Sanguinis, the Field of Blood, and wow, did it earn that name. Ilghazi's army completely surrounded the Crusader camp in the dead of night. At dawn, they attacked, and the entire army of Antioch was just gone, annihilated. Roger himself was killed, a sword right through his face. The whole principality was left wide open, totally defenseless. But right when you think it's all over for the Crusaders, in rides King Baldwin II. He had force-marched his army from Jerusalem at an insane speed. He gets there, takes charge of what few soldiers are left, rallies the terrified citizens, and gets ready for a showdown with Ilghazi's victorious army. I mean, this is it. The future of the entire region hangs in the balance. And this is where we see just how wild the swings of fortune could be. You go from near-total annihilation at the Field of Blood to this incredible, stunning victory just 6 years later at the Battle of Azaz. It wasn't just a win, it was a complete 180, and it was all thanks to Baldwin II's brilliant leadership.
Yeah, Baldwin's genius as a commander was just on another level at Azaz. He was badly outnumbered, right? So what does he do? He pulls a classic step tactic out of his hat. He orders a fake retreat, his forces pretend to run, and just like he predicted, the Seljuk army gets cocky and breaks formation to chase them down. Then, at the perfect moment, boom, he gives the signal. His knights wheel around and slam into the surprised, scattered enemy. It was a total rout, an absolute victory.
And the scale of this win? It was just immense. The loot they grabbed from the enemy camp was worth 80,000 gold Byzants. Now that's not just a pile of gold. That's political power. Baldwin used that cash to ransom his own daughter and other important hostages. He basically bought back the security of his entire northern border. So even with this huge victory, that whole crisis up north pointed to a massive, fundamental weakness. They just didn't have enough men. The original Crusaders, they were getting old or they were already gone. This huge gap had to be filled, and it was by two brand new, powerful forces that would change the Holy Land forever. First up, you've got the Knights Hospitaller. Now these guys started out as a charity, basically. They ran a hospital in Jerusalem for sick pilgrims. But as the situation got more and more desperate, they realized they needed to do more. So they picked up swords and transformed into this elite military force dedicated to defending the kingdom.
And right on their heels came the Knights Templar. Now, unlike the Hospitalitors who kind of evolved into fighters, the Templars were created for one reason and one reason alone, to be warrior monks. Their entire purpose was war and defense. And get this, they answered to no king, only to the Pope himself. These guys, these military orders, became the professional, standing armies that the Crusader States were so desperate for.
Meanwhile, another major player shows up on the scene, and they're driven as much by profit as they are by faith. We're talking about the Republic of Venice. They brought their massive navy, which was a huge deal, but man, they drove a hard bargain. This treaty, the Pactum Mormundi, gave the Venetians these incredible trade deals. A third of any city they helped capture, tax-free trading posts, they even got their own courts. It was a deal with the devil in a way. They were mortgaging the kingdom's future just to survive the present. But really, what choice did they have? Okay, so with these new military orders and a powerful Venetian fleet at his back, plus fresh troops from Europe, King Baldwin II felt confident enough to go on the offensive. He set his sights on the ultimate prize, the great city of Damascus. This was his chance to stop playing defense and finally go for a knockout blow. So in 1129, this massive army comes together. It's one of the biggest the Crusaders have ever put in the field. And at first, things look great. They even get the key fortress of Banyas to surrender without a fight. But then, it all just falls apart. A huge foraging party of these new, inexperienced knights gets greedy, they break formation, and they ride straight into an ambush. Wiped out. And then, just as Baldwin is getting ready to launch a counterattack, a freak storm rolls in. A total deluge. It turns the entire battlefield into a sea of mud. You can't charge cavalry through that. The Great Crusade on Damascus was over before it really began. And that failure, that was a huge, brutal reality check. It proved that even with one of the largest Christian armies ever seen in the region, the dream of more conquest was just over. They had hit their ceiling. From this point forward, the name of the game wasn't expansion, it was survival. So, just as the Crusader states are kind of settling into this new defensive mindset, a new problem emerges. The old guard, the experienced leaders who had held everything together through all this chaos, they start disappearing one by one. And this creates a massive power vacuum at the absolute worst possible time. And I mean, it happened fast. In 1130, the Prince of Antioch is killed in a battle. The very next year, the great stabilizer King Baldwin II himself dies. And in that same year, his best commander Jocelyn of Edessa also dies. Think about that. In just 2 years, the 3 most powerful, most experienced Crusader leaders are all gone. And this leaves a massive power vacuum right when a new unifying enemy is on the rise. And stepping right into that vacuum is a new and truly formidable opponent, Imad ad-Din Zengi. This guy was ruthless, he was a political genius, and he was a brilliant commander. He did what no Muslim leader had been able to do for a generation. He united the powerful cities of Mosul and Aleppo under his single rule. And here's the crucial part. He was the first leader to really weaponize the idea of jihad, turning it from a religious concept into a powerful political tool to rally everyone against the Franks. So that leaves us with the big question, right? With the old, experienced leadership gone, replaced by their squabbling, less capable heirs, and with a unified, ruthless, and highly motivated enemy rising in the east, could the Crusader states possibly survive? The era of just scraping by was over. A new and far more dangerous struggle was about to begin.